does your book cover the spiritual aspect of the movement?
I would like to add something to this question here. The spiritual part of the movement was the movement. If you look at it, SCLC had Christian in it. In every song that we sang, it was about
It was a Christian movement.
a Christian movement. So the book has to have spiritual transition because that's what the movement was about.
Exactly.
But non-violence is what Jesus was. Non-violence is what Gandhi was. And Dr. King geared that movement around finally in non-violence. So the spirituality was there.
I would just like to introduce, this is Andrew Marrisett, who is very active in the movement and is quoted in the book. So, but before we take more questions, I want to ask James and Wash what their answer is to this gentleman's question.
What he said. He's correct. Because it's not a mistake that the majority of the civil rights leaders were pastors. They had spiritual backgrounds, and the things that they were instilling in us were godly principles. So he's exactly correct. The movement itself was spiritual, and had it not been that, we may not have gotten as far as we did, because we would not have, because we would have been doing it in a confrontational manner, and we would have lost. So, just like you have biblical situations where very few people conquered a tremendous amount of people with the hand of God, the spiritual principles that were instilled in the leaders allowed us to follow them and watch God open up doors and change laws and things that helped us to move and advance, which we would not have done without his help.
Amen.
The church as an institution is the backbone, the spine of the black community. It's where we first learn to really read, to organize. The first places we were allowed to have secretaries and treasurers and organizations and groups.
Right.
Preachers could lead the movement because they did not work for the white community. They worked for the black community. They couldn't be fired. And then they had God on their side. But if you want to do some real research, look into the role that the church has played. I mean, in our community. I think right now, if we look for the strongest financial institutions in the black community, they would be our churches. And the most powerful and influential institutions, even to this day, still.
The final paragraph of the book is a quotation from James. It says in part, "We as children got involved in what would appear to be adult issues. One of the primary reasons it worked was that we were children, and God's hand was upon us."
Amen. Amen.